Okay, this used to be Democracy Day before, but we've pushed it to June 12th. Can we say Happy Inauguration Day? President Tinubu, nobody hates you. I think I have to repeat that over and over again, because when you criticize people in this country, their supporters just carry the bag. He's against us, he hates us, he did. I don't hate you. I love you, all right? As I love everybody. But I had to tell you some hard truths this morning. And Vibai, like you said, there are 195 countries in the world. Ask me how many of them give some form of fuel subsidies or energy subsidies. 170 countries out of 195. Some directly at the pump, some when you have crisis, they fall in and they give a buffer. So subsidy itself is not a bad thing. In fact, as of 2023, the subsidy economy in the world was about over 7 trillion. Over 7 trillion have been paid in subsidies around the world as of 2023. The question is how we manage it. So the argument government was making that people were stealing the fuel and because it was cheap and subsidized. Yes, you have that arbitrage. But what about the penalties? What about the investigation that you needed to do in the NNPC? Did the government do that? No. What about the ways to sanitize the NNPC? Did the government do that? No. So these are the arguments. The people that made lots of money from the NNPC, what did they do to them? They went scot-free. You are saying they are carrying the fuel over the border. How did they do it? If it's not the corruption of everybody. Has government tackled that corruption? No. So you now say the next way to do is to put the cost on the people. Well, we know in this country when Yaradua paid subsidy and say reduce fuel prices. Okay, let's even admit you finally pulled out the subsidy. Subsidy gone. Yes, you said you face it out. 1 year you were still paying subsidy, lied to Nigerians that subsidy was gone. A year after, finally it was pulled out. All the savings that you say you got from the subsidy, has it bettered our lives? No. When we ask you, you say we should go and meet the governor. But you are still taking a lot of loans. Is it the same governors that there were allegations of 800 billion that some of their FAC money was donated for campaign elections? There were allegations. We have not seen the end of that story. Nobody has investigated. So it is government passing the buck in every ramification. And that's why we are saying that a lot of Nigerians are not feeling the pain. I will ask the federal government to do 3 calculations for me. Can you tell me how much households have lost in Nigeria since you removed subsidy, fuel subsidy, energy subsidy, subsidy, forex subsidy, and all the subsidy? Can you calculate how much purchasing power households have lost? Give us the numbers. Can you calculate how many millions of Nigerians do not have job every month? Give us the numbers. Can you calculate how much they've lost in quality of life and living? Give us the numbers. Those are the numbers we want to see. It's so easy to say, oh, foreign exchange, surge, foreign reserves surged to over 50 billion. Anyway, it came down a bit because of the war. It's so easy to say, 2,000 tractors. But you didn't tell us the backstory that it took you over a year to get the 2,000 tractors to the people. And your friend brought it in from Belarus. Why did we bring tractors from Belarus when we used to have Steyr here in Bauchi back in the days, and we have Bobcat in Port Harcourt and other areas? Why did we used to grow the local tractor industry? You are talking about 700-kilometer road. You have not completed it. 47-kilometer year completed legal. The road is still ongoing. Did you also tell us the debt you took for that road, over $1 billion? Did you also tell us that there was no competitive bidding on that road? That you just gave it, we got it to people that were close to the government. Just like the ports that we went to take loans on. So you're also telling us about the loan, but people are not seeing, people are hungry. I bet if I ask the question today to every Nigerian, is your life better today than it was 4 years ago? They will say, my life was better 4 years ago than it is today. And we can take a poll and ask that question if people will genuinely answer it. Yesterday on the platform, I was talking to Peter Esele. And Peter Esele was telling me that at the time they negotiated minimum wage under Jonathan, it was It was $120 for 18,000 minimum wage. How much is the minimum wage today? So these are the hard truths we need to tell ourselves. The purchasing power of people have gone way down. If you check the parameter on insecurity, we've killed over 10,000 bandits. Yes, good. The question is, what about the people still in captivity? Have we done anything to bring them back home? The myriads of people in captivity, have we done anything to bring them back home? Over 40 students are here. In fact, somebody was telling me, plus the Brownu one is going up to, 60 or 80. We are just saying this thing because we want the country to work. And it's never personal. And this is not emotion. All the things I've said here are based on facts. You have removed subsidy, yes, we can't fault your commander-in-chief. But at least let the effect of the subsidy, the money saved, let it trickle down to the lives of people. You said you have paid over 600 something billion for poverty alleviation and things like that. We are not seeing the effects in the lives of people. There's still massive poverty everywhere. So what is the effect of all of these savings that you promise us will make our life better?
Oseni's intervention is not the voice of a political opponent. It is the voice of a frustrated citizen who understands policy mechanics well enough to separate the instrument from its execution. That distinction is absolutely critical, and it is the spine of his entire argument. Let's break down the things he touched in the argument. You know, number one, he spoke about the subsidy, no, the management, the poor management of the savings from from the removal of subsidy. The subsidy was never the villain; the management was. Oseni's claim that roughly 170 out of 195 countries operates some form of fuel subsidy is a widely documented reality. Most developed and oil-producing nations, from the United States, tax incentives for fossil fuels, to Saudi Arabia, Iran, and beyond, absorb some portion of fuel costs for their citizens. The operative question was never whether to subsidize, but how to manage the mechanism with transparency and discipline. Former Minister Solomon Dalung echoed this directly, arguing that the real challenge was not the subsidy itself, but how it was managed, calling the removal a reflection of poverty of ideas. This is a devastating intellectual point. If the system was being exploited through smuggling and round tripping, the solution was forensic accountability inside NNPC, not passing the full cost burden onto the ordinary citizen. Point 2. The NNPC was never sanitized, and the culprits walked free. This is perhaps the most explosive and substantively verifiable of Oseni's arguments. The data supports him fully. The Senate Committee on Public Accounts has made repeated efforts to get NNPC to account for a staggering 210 trillion naira, covering its operations from 2017 to 2023, with the company's statements riddled with discrepancies and inexplicable inaccuracies. Rather than prosecute those responsible for years of hemorrhaging, the government approved a massive cancellation of NMPC's outstanding obligations, a move critics argued could encourage corruption, with one civil society group warning that the administration effectively endorsed the looting of public resources instead of conducting audits, arresting, and prosecuting those responsible. In other words, Tinubu removed subsidy to stop the bleeding from one wound and then quietly forgave the debt of of the institution that caused the wound in the first place. That is not reform. That is political management dressed as reform. Point 3. The savings from subsidy removal have not trickled down. This is where Oseni's argument intersects mostly directly with the lived reality of Nigerians, and the data is unambiguous. More than 9 out of 10 Nigerians say the country is going in the wrong direction. Nearly 9 in 10 say economic conditions are fairly bad or very bad, up to 30 percentage points since 2020. Three-fourths three-fourths report three-fourths report poor personal living conditions, and over 95% say someone in their household went without a cash income at least once in the prior year. The government's counter narrative that the savings are being reinvested does not survive scrutiny. 2 years after the subsidy was removed, despite a historic surge in government revenues, with the Federation account distributing 28.78 trillion in 2024, a 79% increase from the prior year, the average Nigerian has yet to feel the benefits. Many state governors reverted to familiar patterns of waste, lavishly funds lavishing funds on luxury vehicles, needless travel, and grandiose projects, while rural clinics lacked basic medicines. Even worse, according to the World Bank's Nigeria Development Update, NNPC has been remitting only 50% of the expected subsidy savings into the Federation account, with the rest used, according to the company, to offset past arrears, an explanation that fails to calm public concerns about mismanagement. Citizens were told to endure pain for a future dividend. That future has not arrived. Mm. Point 4. The government is borrowing even while claiming savings. Oseni's point about loans is not rhetorical, it is mathematical. Nigeria's debt has climbed to 187 trillion, this, with the Senate approving another $21 billion, 2.2 billion euros, and 15 billion yen for the 2025-2026 fiscal cycle. A government that tells citizens it has been freed from an unsustainable subsidy burden cannot simultaneously be on a record borrowing spree without providing a credible accounting of where the savings went. The logic collapses on itself. As one critic put it bluntly, the government cannot continue borrowing, taxing Nigerians, and then write off massive debts without accountability. Point 5. The governors are a broken relay. Oseni is pointing a structural failure that goes beyond the presidency. Even if Tinubu were perfectly disciplined, the minimum wage increase to 70,000 has been met with resistance. Many states either failing to pay or doing so inconsistently. While new airports and conference centers are built even as schools remain dilapidated, the federal state relay for delivering welfare to ordinary Nigerians is broken at multiple points. The president cannot claim credit for increased FAAC allocations while ignoring that the last mile of delivery is being consumed by the very governors who share platforms with him. What President Tinubu can concretely do better? What this is, if he wants to do better, these are the things he needs to touch. Number one, prosecute NNPC accountability publicly and visibly. The write-off of 8 trillion naira in NNPC debt without corresponding prosecution is the single most damaging act to public trust in this administration. The president must instruct the EFCC and AGF to pursue recovery and criminal sanctions for every naira of the 210 trillion in unaccounted NNPC funds. The perception that the people who ate the subsidy funds went free while ordinary Nigerians paid the remover is politically fatal and morally indefensible. Number two, create a transparent subsidy savings utilization dashboard. Publish monthly audited figures showing exactly where every naira of subsidy savings was channeled, disaggregated by sector. Roads, schools, health, cash transfers. Until ordinary Nigerians can trace the benefits, the policy remains an abstraction that only produced pain. Number three, enforce gubernatorial accountability for FAAC allocations. The federal government cannot keep pointing to increase FAAC distributions while governors operate without scrutiny. The president should work with the legislature to mandate state-level publication of quarterly spending reports with SERAP or equivalent civil society bodies empowered to sue non-compliant states. Caution the people directly, not through vague promises. The targeted cash transfer programs announced were inadequate in scale and poorly executed. A more serious intervention, indexed to the actual cost of living, impact of the removal, would restore some credibility. If 4 trillion naira was saved, even a fraction deployed as direct transfers to the bottom 30 million household would be transformative and politically rehabilitating. Number 5, separate himself from the downfall style governance of his governors. Separate himself from the downfall style governance of his governors. The president's political capital is being eroded by association with governors who are visibly enriching themselves on federal allocations, public distance, and where necessary, disciplinary withdrawal of political support would signal seriousness. Tinubu has maintained that despite the high voltage criticism, Nigeria is better off for the subsidy removal. That is a defensible long-run economic thesis, but it is politically irrelevant if the people experiencing it are suffering at record levels. Leadership is not just about being right, it's about being felt to be right by those you govern. The narrative the president is building, that the pain was necessary and the gains are coming, is collapsing under the weight of the evidence Oseni is cataloging. A president who removes a painful policy, promises the savings will better lives, borrows at record rates, forgives the debt of the implicated institution, and allows his governors to feast on increased allocations while citizens go without food and income. That president is not writing a legacy of reform, he is writing a legacy of betrayal. Oseni's words are not partisan noise. They are a performance review. And right now, the grade is failing. Thank you for listening. Just go right to the comment section again. Comment your view, share your views. Don't hold back. Share your views. Share the video. Like, and please, 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 I beg you, subscribe. Subscribe. I will come back for you again. Thank you.